Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm Sean. I run Innovaspeed, and for those of you that are new to the channel, thanks for joining me. Those of you that have already been subscribed, welcome back again. In this video, we're going to start to see the new front suspension take shape, and it's quite a bit different of a design than originally. You'll definitely want to go back and watch the previous, because we really get more into the details of what went wrong and why we're back to fabricating something that was fabricated, I thought, and finished like 3 or 4 months ago. To explain the conversation I had this morning, as I said I was going to have with my buddy who knows a bit more about suspension than I do. His feeling on this, far better and stronger than what was in there. Absolutely build it as a system in a square like that. Build my control arms off the truck so that way then I can roll it up under the truck, align everything where I want it, weld it in, brace it in, and forget about this shenanigan. That means pending the parts show up like they're supposed to, this saga's over and it only sets us back a week. I can take that. I know exactly where I want everything to be. Let's get it done. I got all thread, so that way I can set the heims, spacing, and everything exactly where I want it between each side. And then I can lock those nuts down on this all thread and maintain that measurement for both. Should be pretty straightforward. It's just a square with some brackets that are all the same all the way around. The other thing too is with my heim spacings being set like that, I can go ahead and start laying out my control arm. I don't have my bending die for a few more days, and I'm missing the ball joint cups yet. Same deal, they're in the mail. So once all that gets here, I can finish out the arms. I just have to make sure that my bends are consistent, my cuts are consistent, and I make sure everything is super trued up on each other. It's about all I can think about, so let's get to work. We're gonna set ourselves up on this back end here. So we'll make the frame, and then we can tack our arms together on here. And kind of use this like a jig, but it won't be, and there's no need to unless for some reason people start wanting this suspension lower and then to make your upper arms, but I don't really know if I want to get into that. This one's built specifically for this truck, and not a lot of people are tackling this task for good reason. This is a tough truck to do it on. Wait. Seriously? Okay, so I have to laugh at myself here. I'm editing this video, and I can't believe I said this line. I never realized I said that. You got to remember, these videos were originally filmed 2.5, 3 years ago now, I think was when this specific video was filmed. It's a little ways back. A lot of shit's changed in my life since then. And so to see me say something like, oh, I can't imagine why anybody would want this, and I think there's like 18 of you on a wait list now for 6 to 9 months at least at this point, waiting for me to bring this suspension to market as an actual kit now. Oh man, it's just funny how life changes. So I won't interrupt the video very long. I just had to laugh about that because there's been so much going on in my life surrounding literally what I just said. I didn't think anybody would ever want to happen. That's why I do Innovaspeed full-time now. So I'm probably going to get out the plasma cutter to do this. It's a pain in the ass to set up, and it kind of catches everything on fire, but that's a lot of shit to cut out, so I think that's how we're going to do it. Alright guys, we're about to rock this plasma cut. These are actually special plasma cutting goggles from Lincoln. I want to say it's like a shade 8, maybe 5, I can't remember. You don't use sunglasses for this, guys. I see a lot of people, they don't use gloves, they don't use sunglasses, or they do use sunglasses. No, so just don't mess around. Actually be safe. Use your safety equipment. Don't be afraid or embarrassed about it. The people that don't will pay the price later. I have those. I have my earplugs in because that stupid fucking air compressor is so loud, but it's what I got for now. So you can see here, I got everything marked. I cleaned the crap out of this, and I used my silver Sharpie to mark out all my templates. So there's 8 total, 4 of each kind. Some with the square cap and the rest without. Kind of stacked them in there as best I can, make the best use of material. I did leave myself a little buffer though with the plasma cutter. It's not the most accurate thing in the world. When I'm behind it, I shake a little bit. Let's get this puppy cut. there you have it, kids. When it's cutting good, you end up with an edge that looks like this. When you're, in my experience, a little too hot, you end up with this rolled over molten part just because it's getting the metal too hot, but that knocks off real easy. But yeah, I mean, you can see that took me about 20 minutes total. That easily would have been an hour, hour and a half if you were hacking away with a grinder blade, maybe 45 minutes to an hour with a big bandsaw if you're lucky, but you still got to get it off of this sheet. So this is definitely the quickest way to do that. I want to let those cool down for a minute. I know the camera probably needs to cool down sitting out there in the sun. I'm going to knock the slag off of those, and then we'll get ready to go drill the holes. Some of you are familiar with my automatic center punch. It's one of my favorite tools that I have in here for metalworking. I don't have to bop anything with a hammer. I just put this where I need to go, and boom, spring-loaded hit. I put a little mark in the rough center of all the holes. Like so. I do it a couple times just to give myself a solid crater. That way, the drill bit's not going to want to walk. Okay, and I've just been grinding. I'll show you. This is kind of what it starts off as. It's real jagged. And then I clamp it to the table on the bolt, and I already did the other side, so it's super flat. And then you just grind this, and I check it with a straight edge to get it pretty close. Doing the same thing here, same thing here. So just go all the way around, and then that should be it. These should be ready for me to build or tack these kind of where they go with the all thread, and then we can kind of start welding up our base. I'm stoked about how this is coming together, but you know, it takes a while to grind these down. This is not an enjoyable task. That's why I haven't been making you guys suffer through any of that footage. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. So I'll show you guys something kind of cool I knocked out earlier since I had the plasma cutter and crap out in the interior. Actually, let's walk around the other side. Ignore the handbrake, I'm just trying to figure out where all the interior goes. I actually took some of that 1/4-inch plate and welded in a little bolt. I actually think it came out pretty good, so that way the ball screws on. I picked up that bolt whenever I went to go get the drill bit and stuff earlier, notched it in, welded it up real quick, and what this is a 14-inch tall shifter with a 20-degree layback, and I tightened it down on here, and it's freaking glorious. I love it, and it's perfect where your hand goes. Kind of got to figure out where everything goes, so that way I can figure out where the dash and the cage need to be. So anyway, I hope you guys think that's kind of cool. I thought it was kind of neat, and when you're sitting in the seat, at least from where I sit, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. It took me all of about 15 minutes. Just cut it out with a plasma real quick, clean up the edge, drill a couple holes in the bottom, use the grinder with the cutoff wheel to make the little notch, a couple solid ass tack welds with the welder, and I just cleaned the weld up a little bit, and that was it.
3 days later.
So here's the deal. This is the makings. Ignore my angle gauge and magnet. This was me when I was tacking it all together. So this is a completed tack. Both of these are tacked right now, actually. This is a completed tacked side. So what's going to happen is this will sit kind of like this, and these flat spots weld to the bottom of the frame. I'm going to go ahead and warn you guys, you're going to notice something weird when it goes in the frame. The outside of these, this part right here, will be around the outside of the frame. There's a flat spot on the inside of these that will stick inside the frame. I did that because I'm going to bevel it and make like an interlocking piece that ties this into the frame. This is going really well, actually. I'm liking it. It's a nice precise fit. Jesus, everything's falling over now. We run the chance that if this one's higher or lower or whatever than this one, as it pivots, the arm is going to want to tilt, and so it could loosen the heims. It could put the arm in bind. There's a few things you could do that we do not want to happen. Our goal is to eliminate that. The all thread is the simple solution. I can get it at Lowe's for a couple bucks. It's not very expensive. Before I put it in the truck, I'm going to bevel the edges of these upper, you know, the mounting face basically, so we can really get some good weld penetration to it. What we have to do now, and what I'll show you I'm laying out, is you can see I have the tape measure, but there's a washer here and a washer here. Now, it's insignificant that it's on the side of the bed, other than it just was a flat surface. And as all of you may know in your own workspaces, if there's a flat surface, you set stuff on it. What I'm going to do now to align those pieces I just showed you, you gotta stay hydrated. I'm gonna take these washers and I'm gonna weld a piece of angle iron between it. It doesn't have to be super strong. It's literally, I'm just gonna put a couple tacks on them to slide them over the all thread, run a nut on it, and that'll hold both the front and back exactly where it's supposed to be. We'll measure our tube, we'll weld it in, and move on. Ready? Let's go. Okay, so this is kind of how I'm setting it up. So you can see the two spacer arms basically that we made. Same thing on the back, so it captures both sides of it. Now the cool thing is, because I know that the edge of this 1/4 inch plate in this section was sheared straight, all I have to do is level these. I just have to level across the mounting pads, and then I'll use a straight edge to true this up here. That'll pretty much solve the alignment of square. So once I get the tube cut and in there, I'll tack it and then square it up to both sides, and once the other one goes in, it should already be square, and that'll be that. So it's kind of a pain in the ass for me to have the camera out there. It's kind of dark, so let me do it and then I'll bring in the light and show you. Okay, you ready for this? Here's the final result. Yeah, I know, it's a square with some ears on it and some all thread through the holes. I mean, it's big freaking what, but that's what we ended up with. So it's just got a bunch of tacks on it. Basically 1 or 2 tacks on every side. So it's pretty stout, definitely overbuilt. It's a wicked heavy part, but it's literally at the lowest point of the truck, and everything else above it won't be built quite as insane as that. That's kind of where that went. The reason I only tacked it up and didn't fully weld it is I wanted to, when I fully weld it, I want to clamp it down so it stays level and doesn't try and twist up out of shape, because it's going to take a lot of heat to get through this heavy weld stuff. And at that point, it's basically waiting on the steering rack to get here and the couple little pieces I need to be able to weld up the control arms. Obviously we need to cut all the original stuff out of the frame. Yes, you're correct in saying, well, we didn't see it. That's because I haven't done it. Because once this is welded up in there pretty good, and the engine mounts are connected back to the, you know, the ears where those are, I can kind of step back and breathe, and then take my time setting all the suspension up exactly where it needs to be with all of its setting. Anyway, that's all for tonight. I'm making the magic happen. So we'll get right back to it whenever it's time to finish weld this. Hopefully I've got some parts to show you, but that's gonna be all for this evening's content. See you soon.